Our topic for today is the relationship between religion and social change. This has been a very debatable topic. This is the most debated question, one of the most debated questions in sociology. The idea that religion acts as a force for social change, or does it maintain traditional values and keep the society the same? Or, in other words, whether religion promotes social change or maintains the status quo. So, to begin with, if we speak about the key thinkers over here, if I may put it in this manner, let me just put this space to use. So, if we speak about the key thinkers who believe that religion acts as a conservative force, religion plays the role of a conservative force, or it stops any change, conservative force. We can speak about traditional functionists such as Durkheim. We could speak about Parsons. Number two, we could speak about Marxists such as Karl Marx himself and Althusser. If we speak about feminists, we could refer to Simone de Beauvoir and Mary Daly. According to them, religion plays the role of a conservative force within a society. However, as a counter argument, where you write down about religion playing a role in terms of bringing social change, religion brings in social change within a society. And over here, we could write down about Weber. Our discussion would start with Weber, followed by the neo Marxists, Antonio Gramsci and Gramsci or Gramsci, and the new Marxist Otto Maduro. And we'd speak about the liberation theology. We could speak about liberation theology. You could speak about the Iranian Revolution, so on and so forth. Now, having said that, let's get started without any further ado. So, as we take a start with this particular topic, there are a number of possible relationships between religion, social change, and social stability. In general, functionists and many Marxist and feminist sociologists argue that religion plays the role of a conservative force. Like I said, traditional functionalists, traditional Marxists, and traditional feminists, they believe that religion plays a role of a conservative force within a society. However, if we speak about neo-Marxists such as Otto Maduro in the year 1982, he argued that religion may also be a radical force that promotes social change. Now, keeping this in mind, let's start off with the idea that religion acts as a conservative force. So, what does the word conservative over here mean? When we use the word conservative, it's very important that we understand what the word conservative over here refers to. Religion can be seen as a conservative force in two senses, depending on how conservative is defined. The phrase conservative force is usually used to refer to religion as preventing social change and maintaining status quo. So, when you're preventing any sort of social change, you're actually playing the role of a conservative force. You're actually maintaining the status quo. What does the word status quo over here means? The word status quo over here refers to how things are kept the way they are, how there's no change brought in, or how the system is maintained the way it is. Now, as we use the word status quo over here, we are status quo is a Latin term. Now, taking this ahead, functionist, Marxists, and feminists generally agree that religion acts as a conservative force. However, they disagree in terms of how they interpret this. From a functionist perspective, religion contributes to social order. Now, what they're trying to explain over here is, if I put three ticks over here, number one, the first one in front of the functionist perspective, the second one in front of the Marxist perspective, and the third one in front of feminist perspective. According to the functionist perspective, religion plays the role of a conservative force because religion helps contribute towards maintaining social order, social stability within a society. On the other hand, if we speak about the Marxist perspective, according to the Marxist perspective, religion plays the role of a conservative force because religion facilitates the capitalist system. According to the feminist perspective, religion plays the role of a conservative force because religion helps patriarchy get stronger. So, Yes, even when all three of these functionalists, Marxists, and feminists, they believe that religion plays the role of a conservative force, the way we defining the word conservative over here matters, and it matters a lot. And at the same time, we also need to keep in mind that functionalists believe that religion plays the role of a conservative force, as religion plays the role of a conservative force, and the religion does so with all the good intentions. However, if you talk about the Marxist perspective, or if we speak about the functional feminist perspective, they do not really believe that religion plays the role of a conservative force and with good intentions. So if you remember, a couple of minutes ago we had spoken about the way the word conservative is defined. Number one, when you're talking about, or when you're using the word conservative, we're talking about something that prevents a change. And number two, conservative may also refer to traditional beliefs and customs, the extent to which traditional beliefs and customs or religion helps to maintain the status quo. It will also maintain traditional customs and beliefs. Now, taking this a little further, taking this ahead, from a functionist perspective, religion contributes to social order and stability within a society. And religion contributes to social order and stability within a society. And if the social order and stability within a society are maintained, religion, it wouldn't be wrong for us to claim that religion plays the role of a conservative force. Religion facilitates the continued existence of society in its present form and inhibits any change. So, if religion is playing the role of a conservative force, it continues to exist in the society in its present form, and it inhibits or it stops from any sort of changes within a society. This is interpreted by functionalists in positive terms. Taking this ahead, Marx, on the other hand, like I said, also believes that religion plays the role of a conservative force. But according to the Marxist perspective, according to traditional Marxists, religion plays the role of a conservative force, not with good intentions. Religion plays the role of a conservative force while ensuring that the capitalist system maintains its power, while ensuring that the capitalist system maintains or continues to be threat free. Taking this further, Marx had similar views to functionalists in that he saw religion as maintaining the status quo. However, he argued that religion operates in the interests of the ruling class rather than those of the society as a whole, and this cannot be seen as something positive. According to Marx, religion operates in the interests of the ruling class rather than those of the society as a whole. By promising its faithful followers rewards in the next life, religion discourages people from demanding radical social change in this life and acts as an agency of social control. So, religion, according to Karl Marx, is a product of the capitalist system. Religion, according to Karl Marx, operates in the interests of the ruling class and not the society as a whole. What religion does is religion offers compensators. Religion offers its faithful followers that they would be rewarded in the next life. Religion discourages people from bringing in any sort of social change, because remember, when religions preach being content with the life you're living, when the religion keeps on telling you that the life you're living is the way God wanted you to live this life, you're actually discouraging people from demanding any sort of radical change. So according to Karl Marx, according to traditional Marxist perspective, religion stops religion stops from any sort of change. Religion keeps people under state of false consciousness, and by doing so, it maintains order, predictability, social stability, as well as it acts as an agency of social control. So, number one, we're done with the functionist perspective, traditional functionist perspective. Number two, we spoke about the traditional Marxist perspective. If we take this ahead and refer to the feminist perspective here, many feminists see religion as a patriarchal institution. Many feminists see religion as a patriarchal institution that perpetuates rather than challenges gender inequality. So, according to the feminist perspective, religion is just another product that has been initiated. According to many feminists, not all, I wouldn't want to say all, the French philosopher Simone de Beauvoir, or for the matter of fact, we could also speak about Mary Daly, the names that I'd mentioned and made you guys write down at the beginning. Many feminists, they see religion as a patriarchal institution that perpetuates inequality. It If anything, it facilitates inequality and does not challenge any sort of gender inequality within a society. From a feminist perspective, religion can be seen as an ideological force in that it socializes people into accepting patriarchy and gender inequality as natural and inevitable. So, three basic stances. Number one, traditional functionist perspective. Number two, traditional Marxist perspective. Number three, traditional feminist perspective. They all believe that religion plays or the religion plays the role of a conservative force, or religion stops from any change from occurring within a particular society. However, all three of them believe that religion does so for different reasons. Broadly speaking, according to the functionist perspective, religion does that to benefit the society as a whole, to ensure that is social stability within a society. According to the Marxist and the feminist perspective, if religion maintains social order, if religion maintains social order within a society through religion, they're not doing so with a good intention. According to the Marxist perspective, religion wants to keep the capitalist system threat free. According to the feminist perspective, religion is used by men within a society to perpetuate gender equality within a society. Now, taking this ahead, conservative may also refer to traditional beliefs and customs. Usually, if religion helps to maintain the status quo, it will also maintain traditional customs and beliefs. For example, the stance of successive popes has restricted the use of abortion among Roman Catholic women. So, if we talk about the Roman Catholic Church, the Roman Catholic Church has been seen as the Roman Catholic Church has been seen by many as a conservative church. The Roman Catholic Church, there have been many questions that have been raised against the Roman Catholic Church, where there people have pinpointed certain social issues that they believe would hold back any sort of social change. Now, taking this ahead, the Roman Catholic Church also has traditional values on issues such as marriage, on divorce, on sexuality, over contraceptives, and abortion as well. So the views that are held by the Roman Catholic Church, historically they've played a role in maintaining traditional values, and by doing so, they've been resisting any sort of social change within a society. This yeah, we talk about this in more detail ahead. Now, taking this further, in some circumstances, however, religion can support social change while at the same time promote traditional values. Now, what sort of circumstances are we talking about over here? This often occurs when there's a revival in fundamentalist religious beliefs. Now, we've studied fundamentalism. We use the word fundamentalism to refer to religion experiencing, or sorry, to refer to a revival of religion, right? So there have been certain circumstances where we can say that religion has supported a social change while at the same time promoting traditional values, and fundamentalism could be an amazing example over here. You could use the example of fundamentalist Christian movements. You could use the example of fundamentalist Islamic movements as well. Such beliefs involve a return to what a group claims are the fundamentals or the basics or the original forms of a particular religion. Christian fundamentalism in the USA could be used as an example, involves an emphasis on the literal truth of scripture, a literal interpretation of the biblical account of the creation, and rejection of the scientific theory of evolution. It advocates traditional roles for women in society and control over female sexuality and reproduction expressed, for instance, in its attitudes to abortion. So, we're just giving an example of how there are fundamentalist Christians, how there are fundamentalist Christians, and over here we could also give the example of the current Pope of the Roman Catholic Church. Since his election in 2013, Pope Francis has emphasized on certain issues, but at the same time has tried challenging the church's traditionally conservative focus as well. He has advocated certain things, for instance, compassion towards individuals and a greater focus on helping the refugee, the marginalized group. But nonetheless, if we have a look at the overall stance of the Roman Catholic Church, it has been seen by many as a traditionally conservative church. Now, taking this ahead, fundamentalism involves the reassertion of traditional religions and moral values to counter social change that have taken place and to oppose the people who support these changes. If fundamentalists are successful, they succeed in defending traditional values. At the same time, however, they change society by reversing innovation that took place earlier. So, when we talk about fundamentalism, if you remember right at the beginning, what I'd said was fundamentalism uh, when we talk about religion playing the role of a conservative force, if you remember right at the beginning of the lesson, we had spoken about the way the word conservative is used or defined plays a very important role. And typically, when you're using the word conservative, you're talking about holding back or stopping or inhibiting any social change. And the second way that we had, and second way through which we could define fundamentalism was when religion tried focusing or maintaining the traditional values within a society. We spoke about a couple of examples, and then we went on to discuss instances where religion can be seen to be holding back or sticking to the traditional values, but at the same time supporting a change. Now, even if we talk about Christian or Islamic fundamentalist group, they feel like society today has gotten modernized and they want to go back to the basics. They want to go back to the original form. They want to go back to the fundamentals of religion. So when I use the word they want to go back, that is actually an example of social change. So see, when you talk about social change, you move in front or you moving back. Nonetheless, it is an example of social change. So fundamentalism is a an example where you believe that modernism has taken over and you want to take the society back to its original form, back to the fundamentals of religion. Nonetheless, when you're moving backwards, or as you're moving backwards, nonetheless, when you're moving backwards, or when you're uh, going backwards, you're actually working towards a change. So this is an example, this is an instance when you're working towards a social change, but you want the society to take a reverse gear and go back. We have examples over here. The so-called Islamic State, I repeat, the so-called Islamic State, IS, also referred to as ISIS, can be interpreted as acting as both a force for social change and a conservative force. On one hand, it is a movement that wants to bring about change within a society through the establishment of a state that is governed by their views of Islamic law. On the other hand, IS or ISIS is seen as an organization that supports traditional conservative values. This illustrates the importance of distinguishing between the two meanings of word conservative. Now, we had started off with the word conservative. I'd mentioned right at the beginning how this word conservative could be seen through in two different ways. And for the ones who joined late, remember when I had said this topic, religion playing the role of a conservative force or religion bringing a social change, has been a very popular topic. But as we study this topic in 2025, to be able to sit for a paper in May, June 2025, we need to know that it is important that I let you all know that you have not been questioned on this particular topic in the years 2023 and 2024, which automatically makes this topic a super important topic. So having a look at this question that we had in May, June 2021, the 4-2 variant, the question over here reads, religion is an obstacle to social change. Religion is an obstacle to social change, or in other words, we're talking about how religion plays the role of a conservative force. Now, these were a few examples. Let's quickly move on and talk about how religion can bring in a social change within the society. Marx is generally regarded as a materialist. He argued that the material world shaped people's beliefs, including their religion and political beliefs. In his view, the economic system largely determined the type of religion that was dominant in a particular society and the beliefs that people held. So we are talking about Karl Marx. While we speak about Karl Marx, so, as we speak about Karl Marx over here, we now quickly hop on and talk about Maximilian Karl Emil Weber, also known as Max Weber. So, about Karl Marx was born in 1818. He died in 1883. However, if we speak about Max Weber, Max Weber was born in 1864 and he died in 1920. So we're talking about a difference over here. Karl Marx died some 37 years before. No, I'm sorry. Max Weber died. No, wait. Karl Marx. Sorry, my bad. Karl Marx died 37 years before Max Weber died. So if we speak about Karl Marx, Karl Marx's focus was always on economic determinism. Karl Marx always saw the economy as a base that was responsible for shaping all the other aspects of society. If you've studied Marxism, you should know the difference between base and superstructure, where Karl Marx saw the economic structure as the base or the most important structure that Karl Marx believed had the power and potential to shape all the other aspects of society, all the other structures of society, which were referred to as superstructures. However, this gentleman Weber, who was born in 1864 and he died in 1920, there's a difference in terms of time. Okay. Now, Weber emphasized on multi causality. According to Max Weber, he did not deny the importance of economy. According to Max Weber, economy was important, economy is important, economy will always remain important. But when I use the word multi-causality, according to Max Weber, along with economy, there are other factors that have a very important contribution towards influencing how the society runs and operates. And amongst these, along with the economic system, the political system, the cultural system, or the cultural structural forces should not be ignored over here as well. So, in a nutshell, when Karl Marx claims, or when Karl Marx, if you talk about Karl Marx quote about how religion is the opium of the people, how religion kills an individual's capacity to think, believe, and behave, which is used by the rich as a tool to maintain social class oppression. I'm not saying this Karl Marx is. I'm trying to explain you the Marxist perspective on religion and help you understand the difference between the Marxist perspective and the Weberianist perspective. However, according to Weber, he rejected the view that religion is always shaped by economic factors. In his view, under certain conditions, religious beliefs can have a major influence on economic behavior and promote social change as well. So yeah, you heard me right. According to Max Weber, Maximilian Karl Emil Weber, who was born in 1864, who died in 1920. He was born in 1864, being more specific, the 21st of April 1864, and he died on the 14th of June 1920. According to Max Weber, religion is or has the potential for bringing in a social change within a society. There's this very popular work of Weber with the name The Protestant Ethic and the Spirit of Capitalism. I repeat, The Protestant Ethic and the Spirit of Capitalism, through which Weber states or Weber explains how religion has the potential of bringing in social change within a society. So, taking this ahead, Weber's theory of the role of religion in the rise of capitalism. Weber's theory in the role of religion in the rise of capitalism. Now, according to Max Weber, what he did was he examined the relationship between the rise of Calvinism. What is Calvinism? It is a subgroup of Protestant Christians. According to Weber, the rise of Calvinism. Do not get confused with these names. I'm using the word Calvinism over here. Calvinism is a subgroup of the Protestant Christian groups, and do not confuse this with capitalism, even when they sound a little similar. So Weber's focus was on Calvinism, which is a branch of Protestantism that emerged in the 16th century. Today, as I speak, it's the 21st century. In fact, the 21st century, the first quarter of the 21st century coming to an end. So Weber focused on Calvinism, which is a branch of Protestantism that emerged in the 16th century, more particularly in the Western Europe. He tried to demonstrate. Weber examined the relationship between the rise of Calvinism and the development of of Western industrial capitalism. So we're talking about the rise of Calvinism and the development of capitalism. The development of capitalism. We're talking about the relationship between these two. I could write Weber here. The relationship between this and this. So, taking this further, he tried to demonstrate that Calvinism emerged before the development of Western capitalism, and he discusses how Calvinism had its very strong role to play in the development of capitalism. One. Number two, he demonstrates how capitalism was first developed in areas where Calvinism was influential. So, do you smell how Weber is trying to form a connection here, how Weber is trying to explain the role that Calvinism, an example of a Protestant form of Christianity, Protestant form of Christianity, how Calvinism had its role to play in the development of capitalism, particularly in Europe. So the Protestant ethic, for this we need to know what the word Protestant ethic over here means. Weber used this term Protestant ethic to refer to the value that Calvinists played on the importance of thrift, abstaining from pleasure, and the duty to work hard in one's calling. Spare a minute, try understanding this. When we talk about Protestant ethic. What does the word Protestant ethic over here mean? This was a term, this was a concept that was initiated, that was developed by Max Weber. Max Weber came up with this idea of Protestant ethic in his book, The Protestant Ethic and the Spirit of Capitalism. This particular term, Protestant ethic, refers to a set of values. We're talking about a set of values and behaviors that were encouraged by Calvinists, a set of values, a set of behaviors that were encouraged by Calvinists, which, according to Max Weber, had quite an important role to play in the development of modern capitalism. Now, taking this further, the Protestant ethic, Calvinists. So, what is Protestant ethic? A set of values and behavior in a simple way. The Protestant ethic, Calvinist Protestantism, originated in the beliefs of John Calvin. As the name Calvinist over here suggests, we're talking about John Calvin. Originated in the beliefs of John Calvin and his followers in the 16th or the 17th century. Calvin led the Protestant Reformation in Switzerland and France. The term Reformation refers to attempts to reform the Roman Catholic Church and to the development of Protestantism in the Western Europe. Now, as you'd all be aware, or as you all should be aware, initially it was just the Roman Catholic Church. It was 1517, more so in the 16th century. So, yeah, the year was 1517, where Roman Catholic Church had a split, and that is when Protestantism emerged. That is when Protestantism was seen as a different or a separate church. So Calvin led the Protestant Reformation in Switzerland and France. The term Reformation over here refers to the attempts to reform the Roman Catholic Church and to the development of Protestantism in Western Europe. About Calvin, John Calvin, Calvin believed in the doctrine of predestination, the doctrine of predestination. He believed that God had predetermined the world and that a distinct group of people, that is the elect, they were destined to go to heaven. The elect had been chosen by God even before they were born. Unlike members of other religions, such as Roman Catholics, Calvinists believed that those who were not among the elect could not earn themselves a place in heaven. No matter how well they behaved on earth, they could not change God's decision. So we are talking about a particular form of the Protestant religion that was initiated by Mr. John Calvin, and this later on was referred to as Calvinism. The people who followed Calvinism were referred to as Puritans, Puritans. About John Calvin, he believed in the doctrine of predestination. Understand this word predestination. When your destiny is when your destiny is already decided. According to this doctrine or this philosophy of predestination, God has predetermined the world, and that a distinct set of people whom we refer to as the elects would only be the people who would go to heaven. And no one want nothing anyone could do can actually win them a place in heaven, which is of course very different from what the Roman Catholic Church believes in. According to the Roman Catholic Church, the way you're living your life is going to decide either if you'll be going to heaven or hell. But according to John Calvin, this might not be the case. According to John Calvin, the an individual before they're born, it would be pre-decided if they would be born as an elect or not an elect. If they're born as an elect, they would go to heaven. If they're not born as an elect, they would not go to heaven. So unlike members of other religions, such as Roman Catholics, Calvinists believe that those who were not among the elect could not earn themselves a place in heaven. No matter how well they behaved on earth, they could not change God's decision. Weber pointed out that Calvinists had a psychological problem. Now, what sort of psychological problem are we talking about here? According to Max Weber, despite of firmly believing that you will only go to heaven if you're born as an elect, and there's no other way for you to go to heaven if you're not born as an elect. According to John Calvin, or according to Calvinists, the problem over here, according to Weber, the problem with the Calvinists over here was they did not know, they weren't sure if they were born as a Calvinist or not. And this Weber sees as a psychological problem. They did not know whether they were among the elects or not. Consequently, they suffered from uncertainty about their status. So, we are talking about a particular form of religion, a particular form of Protestant religion, which we referred to as Calvinists. The people who follow Calvinism, you refer to them as Calvinists or you refer to them as Puritans. According to Weber, they were going through a psychological problem. They knew that they would only go to heaven if they were born as an elect, but unfortunately, they were not certain about their status. They did not know if they were born as an elect or not. However, the reason that only the elect would be able to live a good life on earth, and if their behavior was exemplary, they would feel confident that they were among those chosen by God to go to heaven after death. So it's more like tricking your own mind. Their behavior was not an attempt to earn a place in heaven. Instead, it was an attempt to convince themselves or to trick themselves that they had been chosen to go there. Because guess what? Uncertainty causes anxiousness. Uncertainty causes discomfort. Uncertainty causes stress. Uncertainty, or to live your life with uncertainty, is very difficult. Now, to get rid of this uncertainty, when you know for a fact that you cannot tell or you can never be sure if you've been born as an elect or otherwise, what these Calvinists or what these Puritans did was they tried living their life in a good manner. They believed that only the elect, and elects are the people who were destined to go to heaven. The Calvinists believed that only the elects would be able to live a good life on earth. And furthermore, the behavior they felt, if it was exemplary, they would feel confident that they were among those chosen by God to go to heaven after death. So, taking this a little further from here, the Protestant ethic developed first in the 17th century Western Europe amongst Protestants, including Calvinists. This ethic was ascetic. That means An austere and self-disciplined lifestyle that does not involve indulging in any of life's pleasure. So what we're talking about is a situation where these elects would try to live their lives in a manner that they work super hard. They live their life in a very disciplined manner, but at the same time, they at the same time they do not spend a lot of money. They live a very simple life. So we're talking about a situation where you are avoiding pleasure, where you're avoiding luxury, where you're avoiding excessive wealth, and quite in par with your religious devotion. You work and you work super hard. You work towards economic success, which you believe is a form of serving God. Not only that, these Calvinists or these Puritans, they had a very strict moral behavior too. They totally rejected idleness. Dedication for them was a duty. So they wanted to live their lives in the most self-disciplined, hardworking, striving, dedicated manner while avoiding all the pleasures, luxury, as well as excessive wealth. So the Protestant ethic developed first in the 17th century Western Europe amongst Protestants, including Calvinists. This ethic was ascetic, encouraging abstinence from life's pleasure and austere lifestyle and self-discipline. Calvinists saw their occupation or career as a calling, as something to which they had been called by God. The Protestant ethic produced individuals who worked hard and single mindedly in their calling. Acquiring wealth provided ascetic Protestants with a clue to their fate. They saw financial success as a sign of God's favor, as a sign that they were one of the elect, saved rather than the ones who were damned. The money they made, however, could not be spent on luxuries or frivolous entertainment. It had to be spent on the glory of God. In effect, this meant being even more successful in one's calling, in one's calling, and in practice, reinvesting profits in the business. Therefore, the interpretation that the Calvinists put on the original doctrine of predestination contributed to them becoming the first capitalists. There you go with a bang. According to Max Weber, Calvinism is a form of Protestant Christian religion. These Calvinists, they believed in working super hard and living a very simple life. If you're working super hard and you're living a very self-disciplined and simple life that is free from any sort of pleasure and luxury, automatically you'd end up accumulating a lot of wealth. Now, this wealth that lay idle, I repeat, this wealth that lay idle with the Calvinists, this wealth was used by entrepreneurs. Calvinists had money, entrepreneurs had ideas. So the wealth that the Calvinists had gathered or accumulated by working super hard, by living a very simple life, this wealth was used, or rather say, this wealth was invested by the Calvinists and the entrepreneurs. See, entrepreneurs had ideas, they did not have money. Calvinists had a lot of money that was laying idle. So this money that the Calvinists had, was used by the entrepreneurs. This money that the Calvinists had was used by the entrepreneurs, and this is the money that actually helped develop capitalism, according to Max Weber. So, having a look at the last line over here, the money they made, however, could not be spent on luxuries or frivolous entertainment. It had to be spent on the glory of God. In effect, this meant being even more successful in one's calling and, in practice, reinvesting profits in the business. Therefore, the interpretation that the Calvinists put on the original doctrine of predestination contributed to them becoming the first capitalists. According to Max Weber, It is the spirit of capitalism. According to Max Weber, it is the spirit of capitalism that led to the development. It is the spirit of Calvinism. I'm sorry. It's a wait. It's yeah. It's the religious beliefs. Let me keep it simple. It's the religious beliefs of the Calvinists that led to the growth, that led to the development and the growth of capitalism in modern industrial society. So the spirit of capitalism. Weber argued that modern capitalist enterprises are originated on rational lines and business transactions are conducted in a systematic manner. Underlying the practice of capitalism is the spirit of capitalism, which is a set of ethics, values, and ideas such as to waste time loses money. The spirit of capitalism involves seeing the accumulation of capital as an end in itself, rather than as a means to an end. It involved dedication to acquiring money through economic activity and avoiding the use of wealth for personal enjoyment. This is what I just explained. Weber claimed that the origins of the spirit of capitalism were to be found in the work ethic of ascetic Protestantism. He saw ascetic Protestantism as a vital influence in the creation and development of the spirit and practice of capitalism. In Weber's view, the methodical and single minded pursuit of a calling encouraged rational capitalism. Making money became both a religious and a business ethic. Finally, Weber noted that the importance of wealth creation and the restrictions on spending, it encouraged savings and investment, reinvestment. The ascetic Protestant way of life, it's a way of life that led to the accumulation of capital, investment and reinvestment. It produced the early businesses that expanded eventually to create capitalism. This is how Maximilian Karl Emil Weber believed capitalism emerged or capitalism developed. If that is the case, what about religion in non-Protestant societies? Because remember, Calvinism is a subgroup of the Protestant Christian religion. It's a subgroup of the Protestant Christian religion. Religion in non-Protestant societies. Weber compared religions and economic developments in different parts of the world in order to understand the relationship between religion and changes in society. Although other parts of the world beyond Western Europe possessed many of the necessary preconditions to develop capitalism, they were not among the first areas to develop it. For example, India and China had technological knowledge, labor, and individuals engaged in making money. What they lacked, according to Weber, was a religion that encouraged the development of capitalism. So, what Weber is trying to say over here is that there are certain examples of non Protestant societies over here. We just spoke about this example of India and China. They did have technological knowledge. They did have labor. They did have individuals who engaged in making money. But what they lacked over here, what they did not have over here, was a religious teaching that kept the Calvinists so disciplined, the religious teaching that kept the Calvinists so dedicated, a religious teaching that focused on, that made these Calvinists or these Puritans focus on their callings, and their callings had to do with the extent to which they lived a very, very simple life, while at the same time working super hard in a most disciplined manner, there being no luxuries, no pleasure whatsoever in life, which was actually what led to the development of capitalism in modern industrial society. Now, having said this, taking this a little further, if we speak about materialism and Weber's theory, in Weber's view, he had shown that some religious beliefs could promote economic change. He claimed to have found a weakness in Marx's materialism, which implied that the economic system always shaped ideas. Now, this is something that I'd taken a start with when, remember, I said Karl Marx, who was born in 1818, he died in 1883. Karl Marx's focus was on the economic base in a particular society. According to Karl Marx, it was the economic base that shaped all the other structures, which Karl Marx referred to as the superstructures of society. And guess what? Religion, along with many, many of the superstructures, is something that the Karl Marx believed was being shaped, influenced by the economic structure, which collectively we would refer to as Marxist materialism. When I use the word Marxist materialism over here, the idea is that the rich, the powerful, the elite who controlled the economic structure of a society were the ones who were controlling everything around through that economic structure. So in Weber's view, he had shown that some religious beliefs could promote economic change. He claimed to have found a weakness in Marxist materialism, which implied that the economic system always shaped ideas. Weber put much more emphasis than Marx on the influence of ideas in bringing about social change. However, Weber also recognized the importance of economy, material factors, and technology. Remember, I had used the word multi-causal. I had used the word multi-causal when I was referring to Weber before earlier. However, Weber also recognized the importance of economy, the importance of material factors, and the importance of technology in making capitalism possible. Material factors were as important as ideas in the development of capitalism. Neither could be ignored in any explanation. So, like I said earlier, Karl Weber believed economic factors are important. They do have their very important role to play, but these material factors cannot be ignored either. Wait. I made a boo boo. Wait. According to Karl Marx, according to Karl Marx, it's the material factors that matter the most. So, according to Weber, yes, the material factors, he's not denying that material factors do not play an important role, but according to Weber, along with material factors, there are other factors such as ideas. I mean, this is one amongst others too, such as the politics, such as the culture. All of these factors together have quite an important role to play towards the development of capitalism. Now, taking this ahead, let's quickly evaluate Weber, and then we'd bring this first part of the lesson on religion playing its role in terms of bringing in social change to an end. This we'd continue in the second lesson, but let's quickly evaluate Weber's theory over here. So Sombart in the year 1907 argued that Weber was mistaken about Calvinist beliefs. According to Sombart, Calvinists opposed greed and the pursuit of money for its own sake. However, Weber pointed out that it was not the Calvinist beliefs in themselves that was important. The doctrine of predestination was not intended to produce the rational pursuit of profit. However, this was one of the unintended consequences in that it led to the Protestant work ethic. So, according to Weber, these Puritans or these Calvinists, they were going about doing their own business in the sense that they were just following their religion. So, if anything, this was an unintended consequence that led to the Protestant work ethic. Number two, critiques point to parts of the world where Calvinism were strong, but capitalism did not develop. For instance, you could speak about Switzerland, you could speak about Scotland, you could speak about Hungary and parts of the Netherlands. They all contained large Calvinist populations, but they were not among the first capitalist countries. However, Gordon Marshall in the year 1982 argues that Weber did not claim that Calvinism was the only factor necessary for the development of capitalism. Simply finding Calvinist countries that failed to become capitalist comparatively early cannot therefore disapprove Weber. Woo woo. So we talked about Marshall supporting Weber. According to Marshall, nowhere did Weber claim that it was only Calvinism that led to the development of capitalism. So there's no point pinpointing at countries where Calvinism was present, but they did not, but they failed to develop capitalism. In his own study of Scotland, Marshall found that the Scots had a capitalist mentality, but they held back a lack of skilled labor and capital for investment, and by government policies that did not stimulate the development of industry. So, Gordon Marshall goes on to explain this even further. Next, according to Karl Kautsky in the year 1953, a Marxist, he argued that early capitalism came before and largely determined Protestantism. So, we're talking about the cause and effect relationship over here. Kautsky in 1953 argued that early capitalism came before and largely determined Protestantism. He saw Calvinism as developing in cities where commerce and early forms of industrialization were already established. Weber's defenders insist that a distinctive rational capitalist entrepreneur did not emerge until after capitalism. So there are Marxists who believe, wait, bro, it isn't that it was Calvinism that led to capitalism, because there are some parts of the world where capitalism, they say, was present before Calvinism. But then again, Weber, while being defensive, does claim that capitalism wasn't where capitalism wasn't very pop very So capitalism, according to Weber, as it looks like today, or as it later on emerged to be, as it later on developed, Weber's defenders insist that a distinct rational capitalist entrepreneur did not emerge until after Calvinism. So the supporters of Weber claim, okay, fine, there would be some forms of capitalism or way capitalism, but capitalism or a distinct rational capitalist entrepreneur did not really emerge up after the Calvinists, until after the Calvinists. So the last point before we could bring this to an end, other questions whether it was Calvinist religious beliefs that led to them becoming business people. According to this view, Calvinists devoted themselves to business because they were excluded from holding public office and from joining certain professions by law. Like Jewish people in Eastern and Central Europe, they tried to become economically successful in order to overcome their political persecution. However, Weber's supporters argue that only Calvinists developed capitalist behavior involving rational planning to accumulate capital. As a result, only they could develop capitalist businesses before capitalism was established. So, despite these criticisms, Weber successfully highlights a theoretical point that ideas, in this case, religious ideas, can lead to economic change. So, this brings the first part, the first lesson. This could be called as the first lesson to the topic religion, either religion playing a conservative role within a society, or religion playing the role of either religion bringing in a social change within a society, or religion playing the role of a conservative force within this particular society. And we'd continue from here in the next lesson.